to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ET&R's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on Direct Connect, a panel of experts answering your questions. And later on the show, we'll bring you the story of Telerickshaw and Graviky. That's coming up on Small Giants. Gentlemen, thank you both very much. Such a pleasure having both of you here tonight with us. Let's kick the show off then with our first query, and this is a call that's coming to us from the line of Teja. Go ahead, Teja.
What factors should a niche website like Technotron focus on for scaling up? For example, Technotron is a launchpad for unique and innovative designer product startups. What factors a startup like us should focus on to ensure brand loyalty with the niche audience and profitability at the same time?
Thanks very much for calling in with that, Teja. So we've handled similar kind of questions in our previous episodes. Niche product, looking at marketing it, especially if you're doing it online. What would you gentlemen have to say?
You need to do a proper market research in terms of, again, as you said, the target audience, and do specific campaigns in those geographies to reach out. In terms of brand loyalty, the brand loyalty comes from when a consumer feels that this is the right product with the right value proposition and right characteristics what I need. So once we have the consistent delivery of that expectation, the brand loyalty comes up. And after that, obviously, you need to service that customer, build relationships, and that's where the loyalty as well as the stickiness of the customer comes into. So what I would suggest is that to build that brand loyalty, you need to concentrate on these things for going forward and reach out to the geographies where you can do a targeted campaign by existing success stories.
Sure.
Right. So I'm assuming that he has multiple competitors, and I think in India we are known to be very, very price conscious. So the only way to build brand loyalty is by focusing on the entire experience of the customer, delivery, after sales, other things which will over a considerable period of time build brand loyalty. Most of the time people will go for the cheapest product. So he has to, it has an investment that he has to make over a period of time to build that brand loyalty.
All right. So it's not something that's going to come to you in the short term is what our experts are suggesting. It will take a bit of time, but do look at investing into building that brand loyalty, Teja. Thanks for calling in with that. Our next question is a tweet that's coming to us from Prakash Meher. Prayash says he's a wholesale e-commerce company that provides business to consumer B2C and business to business, which is B2B sales service via web portals. He says he's a small company. His challenge is with regards funds. He says he wants to grow his business, so he requires a huge amount of money, which he is unable to raise from banks. He wants to know what he can do and who can provide him with these funds that he requires as per his requirement. To expand online, correct me if I'm wrong, does he require such a huge amount of money?
No, his capital requirement may not be that huge. It may be a few lakhs, maximum up to 1 crore, maybe, I would say. And that is a kind of a ticket size which a lot of these NBFC platforms, if he's not able to get from a bank, he can approach those NBFC crowdfunding platforms where there are lenders and borrowers available. Sure. Because they don't have that kind of a very stringent documentation requirement in terms of what the banks need. They go by the various algorithms and to check the credit worthiness of that particular venture. And online it is in fact feasible. There are a lot of suppliers and vendors to these online platforms. They get loan with very ease because they get that kind of a credit worthiness for the back end of the data what they are able to get from those kind of a platform. So he should approach NBFC platforms to get those loans.
Sure.
Absolutely. So one of our investee companies in Indore, they're getting their retailers funded through NBFCs for their loans. But also if the model is really unique, then he can also look at approaching angel networks such as ours, Lead Angels, to see if we ourselves have funded a few e-commerce companies and are open to it.
All right. Prash, that's in response to your question. Thanks very much for tweeting at us. All right, let's quickly move on then to our next question that's coming to us on our Facebook page. Umesh Madan. Umesh has sent us this question on Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. That's our Facebook page. Umesh says his products are being used mainly for construction purposes. Ours is a port-based city and a major supplier of raw materials. Scrap is being imported, he says, as international prices go up or are stable. Prices for finished products, he says, is coming down. Viability is under stress and he says they need some solution for this.
See, the only way to overcome the issues of importing is to develop indigenous raw materials alternative. Having said that, he can also look at incorporating efficiencies and productivity by some kind of optimization of processes, quality and automation in his existing activity. And of course, the tighter control of his inventory so that he is not having a huge cost of capital of carrying those kind of inventory. There are no other ways other than these kind of things for his business.
Okay.
The prices of finished goods coming down obviously means that there is some change happening in the entire supply chain, and I think he probably needs to figure out why is the price coming down.
Okay.
Is it because of more competition? Is it because, you know, his efficiency is not as good as his competitors, and focus on that area?
Sure. That's in response to your question, Umesh. Take a look at why the price of finished products are coming down, and also alternatives to just having to depend on importing perhaps of your raw material. Thanks very much for sending us that question. Gentlemen, completely out of time. Thank you both very much for being with us here tonight.
Thank you.
Time for a break. On the other side, on Small Giants, Telerickshaw and Graviky. Do stay tuned for that. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on Small Giants, we're putting the spotlight on Telerickshaw and Graviky. Are you constantly harassed by auto rickshaw drivers who refuse to ferry you where you want to go? Is plying by the meter an alien concept for most auto drivers in your city? Well, eliminating the daily challenges of unregularized fares, safety and the refusal to ply on particular routes is an Indore-based startup, Telerickshaw. This enables citizens to book their rickshaw ride with an app helping them to travel safely, smoothly and on time. Karishma Manjani has more.
Section 178, subsection 3 of the Motor Vehicles Act, any three-wheeled vehicle refusing me a ride to any location is a punishable offence. But guess what? A startup in a Tier 2 city came with a solution to this problem. Telerickshaw. Telerickshaw is your auto aggregator that enables you to book your three-wheeled ride on an app. I spoke with the CEO of this startup to get you more details. So what was the motive behind Telerickshaw here? There are multiple transport aggregators out there, but you chose to focus on auto rickshaws. Now that's a transport sector that's both unorganized and fragmented. So what made you be an auto aggregator?
What I believe is if you talk about the major rides in a city, is most with the rickshaws. If you talk about any of the rides through public transport, rickshaws are a major volume which takes you across the city and which helps in commutation. Organizing this sector is far more important than any other mode of transport. This is where when I talk to the drivers, they are themselves not aware how many customers they serve a day, how much they earn, monthly income they save, and the expenditure they incur on per kilometer, they're not aware about anything. So this is where I feel like if we start tracking their expenditure, tracking their rides, tracking their daily income, and tracking how much they can serve and the duration they spend on the roads, and the duration, on that duration, how much they serve the customers, is what we want to make them assure. And this is where the idea was born, like make them feel responsible that what best they can do in that span of time if they're on roads.
So in your journey towards onboarding 6,500 rickshaw drivers in 12 cities all on your app, Did you face any challenges or hesitancies from these local drivers in terms of conveying your idea, your vision, and the technology behind this app?
To be very honest, technology was not a big constraint. The biggest constraint which we had in this sector was to actually bring them on board, to bring them under our umbrella, because they were very resistive to being tracked, to being monitored, and this is where the biggest barrier was.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Karanveer, when you first started, you had the option of choosing investor funding. But instead of that, you went with the PPP model. You went with government support. What was the reason behind that, and what have been the benefits of the same?
I think Telerickshaw is itself a case study in this domain, in this topic. And it's not just Telerickshaw, I would say it's a domain where everyone should focus, the domain of public-private partnerships. Just because today's government is very aggressive about bringing a change. And this is an era of evolution, wherein we actually need to sync with the mission of government. In today's scenario, everyone after starting up or even before starting up starts looking for angel funding, for investors, for VCs. And if you talk about Telerickshaw, the things which we started doing, it was something which was actually a mission of government to regulate this industry, to regulate the meter rates, to abide by the government rules, to abide by the traffic police. And this is what government realized, that the work these guys are doing are actually the part of their mission.
Karanveer, if you're talking about transport aggregators, we cannot ignore Ola and Uber. They're fairly big in the space. And what I'm looking to understand is, what's your edge? What does Telerickshaw offer to its consumers that's different?
Like I always say, life is not just to make an income, it's to make an impact. And our motive is not just going by the discounts, not just going by the offers, just to go for the customer acquisition. What we believe is to make it sustainable on a longer term. And this is where Telerickshaw is actually working on the principle of making system more reliable and more safe. Even other aggregators are there in the market. One or another day, you used to hear a lot of cases of different mishaps. And this is where we have an edge of trust, credibility. Being a government backing company, we felt even if they are offering discounts or free rides, they are just on the mission of acquiring customers. But at the end of the day, if you talk about the finances behind, that these people are burning today and we are earning today, and this is the reason we are still only in the space in this country who's profitable, who's sustainable, and who's still expanding well.
So since we're talking about models, I want to understand, what is your source for revenue here?
See, in Telerickshaw, we got a huge volume of customers every day, and being into 12 odd cities, we are having a base of 430,000 customers till date. We have more than 70% repeated customers, and that's just because of the reliability and the trust we have made in the industry. If I talk about the revenue model, we simply charge 10% of the ride fare, or maybe the trip fare. We actually have a lot of packages for the customers, for the clients like TVS, like Honda, who are actually collaborated with us for different campaigns. These rickshaws travel more than 200 kilometers a day, 150 to 200 kilometers. If I talk about a single rickshaw, it catches more than 10,000 eyeballs a single day, which is a huge, huge source of branding.
Let me quickly wrap up this interview. Every entrepreneur believes that his growth, his revenue will tailwind in larger cities. But Telerickshaw started in a tier 2 city, Indore, and it has been expanding in smaller cities. Why is that?
First, I would like to tell you about the segmentation. In every sector, there is your segmentation, your target audience. If you talk about rickshaws, it's really in the roots of tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And this is where people are adopting us so well, more than cabs, and because that real market lies in these areas. If you talk about the volumes, if you talk about the daily rides, it's uncomparable to the cabs. The rickshaws are in huge demand.
With the hand-holding from the state government, Indore Traffic Police and the support of Indore's citizens, Telerickshaw is now eliminating the challenges of unregularized fare. तो अब पूरा इंदौर बोलेगा,
भैया मीटर से ही चलेंगे, 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 भैया मीटर से चलेंगे.
What if art could improve the environment rather than just lament its degradation? Bengaluru-based Graviky Labs has designed a technology that captures air pollution and converts it into usable ink for artists and painters across the world, finding a way to put all that muck floating through our atmosphere to creative use. Anshuya Banerjee caught up with the founder to know how this startup is transforming pollution into paintings. Take a look.
In 2014, the World Health Organization dubbed air pollution the single largest environment and human health threat. With particulate matter and toxic pollutants accounting for 6.5 million deaths annually, many cities around the globe are gasping for solutions. But Bengaluru-based Graviky Labs has taken a novel approach to the issue. Using particulates captured from car tailpipes and industrial smokestacks to manufacture what they call air ink. The startup has spent the past 3 years developing an exhaust filter that can capture 95% of the pollutants from cars and effectively transform them into a tool for artists and designers across the world.
Nikhil, the word pollution rarely brings to mind anything positive. Taking India's capital as an example, the numbers look frightening and grim as we speak. But your startup Graviky is turning the darkness of pollution into bold strokes. What made you believe that you can bring about a change? Talk to us about your initial inspiration.
Interestingly, all the co-founders of Graviky Labs are from Delhi, and we have seen this problem slowly going up from where it wasn't a big issue 20 years back when we were kids. Today it is something that every year it becomes like a menace. And we were inspired by two wonderful things. One, a quote by Buckminster Fuller, where he talks about pollution being a resource that nobody is using yet. A simple concept that there is nothing called waste in nature. In nature, everything is recycled and reused. So we started off together and we thought how can we do something that is more useful? How can we look at the problem of air pollution, give it a different perspective and make something that allows people to address the problem of air pollution within their daily life and within their daily habits. How do you change those habits? How do you inculcate a behavior that is more eco-friendly?
I'm sure those field visits were definitely not easy as you went from one place to another, transforming pollution into ink, which is used by several artists across the world today. Talk to us about the whole process.
In a very simple terms, we have developed a retrofit device which is attached to the exhaust pipe. That could be a car, it could be a generator, theoretically it could be an industrial chimney. Once you attach the device, it captures the particulate matter, the PM2.5, PM10, which is the most harmful pollution because when you breathe it in, that is what causes asthma, causes cancer, causes irritation, and this is the part of the pollution that you really need to prevent. So you need to remove these impurities and the heavy metals. We carry it through an industrial process where all these things are removed, and what is left is a very carbon rich pigment. That pigment is used to make a variety of inks, which includes marker pens, which includes screen printing that you can use it for printing on your fabric, printing on paper, printing on your footwear.
Talk to us about your monetization strategy as you've partnered with Asian company Tiger to collaborate artists from all over the world to come and test your ink. What does your revenue model look like?
In our revenue model, it's very simple that we make these beautiful marker pens which can be used for doing a lot of graffiti on street. You can use it for doing even canvas painting and all of that. This is a product which has been shipped to 50 countries till now. And when it comes to pollution capture, it is a solution that we are providing, that you can buy this retrofit device, put it on your generators, vehicles, chimneys to prevent your air pollution, to reduce your carbon footprint. So these are the two products in our portfolio that we are putting on the market.
I want to know finances since you've bootstrapped for the last 2 years. Talk to us about your funding journey, and on that note, advice to our fellow entrepreneurs on how they should go about in their initial years.
So it's very interesting that while we have a unique and very innovative product, our business model is very traditional. It's a very simple product that you make every unit that you sell is profitable. So our focus from day one was that we don't want to scale up for the sake of scaling up. We want to make sure that everything that we sell is profitable. Everything that sells, is able to cover our expenses. What we did was we started collaborating, and our collaboration with Tiger, for example, got us so much of media presence, so much of social media presence, that in a way was an expense, but that was never borne by us. So that allowed us to scale up at a very low cost, but not dependent on a funding process.
Your startup is a lean team of 5 converting air pollution into gorgeous piece of art. Talk to us about your secret recipe of hiring the right talent, since you collaborate with artists and designers from across the world.
We as a team came together with a single purpose, that we want to address the problem of air pollution. The passion of it will drive us through rather than finding specialists. Yeah, going forward we will definitely have a lot more specialists coming on board, but as of today we are people who are passionate about this whole problem, and that passion is getting us to do things which we haven't done ever before.
Nikhil, as we put an end to this conversation, firstly I would like to thank you for cutting pollution to promote art, since you've already cleaned more than 1.6 trillion litres of air all across India. What does the next 5 years look like at Graviky?
We see this application has potential to be in various parts of the world, and we have already we are working in India and Singapore. We have already shipped our products to many countries, and we do see ourselves being physically present in a lot more locations in coming years, and hopefully helping people in those locations breathe a better air.
The company claims that it has so far captured 1.6 billion micrograms of particulates, which equates to cleaning 1.6 trillion litres of outdoor air. Graviky Labs is planning to install 1,000 pollution capture units in New Delhi, where it will pilot airing early next year. Beginning with diesel-powered generators, a major source of air pollution. The pollutants, which have been in the lungs of millions of people, are now beautifully resting as art.
Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have anything that you want to tell us, you can always write in at leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com. You can also tweet at me at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET now on Twitter. On Facebook, we're at Leaders of Tomorrow at ET now. You can also call us on that number you see on your screen. We love hearing from you as always. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.